Hello everybody, Qzilla here. Welcome back to another episode of Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin. In the last episode, we unlocked Ratha's Raise Wing powers and were able to control them this time. Then we defeated the Rage Raid Legiana, and then had a confrontation with Kyle. Which then led to us reuniting with Lilia and Reverto, but they captured Ratha. So now we have to go on a quest with Reverto. Now, before we do anything else, I do want to show you guys that I did manage to defeat the Gammoth off-screen, and I even got it to retreat the first time. So we now have a Gammoth of our own. If you're wondering why her stats are so much lower compared to the rest, it's because the Gammoth, annoyingly, belongs to the slow growth group. What does this mean? Let me pull up the Monsterpedia. There it is. So what this means is... So each Monstie has a growth pattern. Quick, regular, or slow. These affect how fast their stats will grow with each level up. So for example, a Monstie with a quick growth pattern gets most of their stat boosts in the early levels, leading to them being able to quickly outclass most of the other Monsties at those early levels, but later on they begin to plateau. A regular growth pattern has the stats generally but slowly go up in power, in gain, with each level up, so that they're basically on a consistent rise throughout the game. And Monsties with a slow level up group suffer from very low stats early on, but once you get into the higher levels, their stats start to jump exponentially. Now, also, we do have one other new monster that you can fight, but it only becomes available after you defeat the Rage Raid Legiana. And you can also get it as a Monstie, that being the Plesioth. You can find it in the Lalaska Rocky Canyon, and its default attack pattern is speed, but when enraged, it uses power attacks. Let me go ahead and bring it up. No, not hatch eggs. Let me go ahead and show you guys. Yeah, so I've got two Plesioth here. I wanted to originally show it off on camera, but I decided against it. But its parts are weak to slash and pierce by default, and on its stomach. Its spikes are only weak to blunt, and its tail is only weak to slash, and it has an elemental weakness to fire. If you want to get it to retreat, then other than throwing a paintball, you'll also want to throw you'll want to break the spikes with a fire element attack. Now, that is the last Monstie from Lalaska that you can obtain at this point in the game. So, without further ado, let's head on out into Lamure. Also, off-screen, I did get my equipment leveled up. So, yeah, this is what I am currently running. And I have completed all the subquests that I can complete for now. Welcome to Lamure! This is our desert region. Much like Albrax in the last game. Alright, Reverto. We're here. Hunter Co-op. So, now we actually have a hunter as our battle buddy. Hunters are able to take on monsters on their own. Their skills and attacks also have 3 types, just like a rider. And if you and a hunter target the same opponent using the same attack type and win a head-to-head, a double attack will occur. They also have their own hunting gauge. When their gauge reaches level 3, they can unleash powerful hunter arts. If a kinship skill and a hunter art are used simultaneously, they become a double kinship skill, hitting all opponents for a lot of damage. Now, Reverto is the first example of us having a hunter battle buddy. Also, I believe we have to fight... Yeah, we do. So, as you can see, he's wielding a great sword. Reverto is one of, by far, the best battle buddies in terms of sheer damage. And it's really not hard to see why, considering how he doesn't have to... I have no idea where I'm going with that. But Reverto also has his own hearts, and hunters are infinitely easier to fight monsters with powerful AoE attacks, due to the fact that they don't have to worry about sharing their hearts with a monster of their own. As a result, it's oftentimes a choice between whether or not you want...
A monster's been causing a ruckus in this area. It's not a local creature, but it's been seen going totally crazy on several occasions. Allegedly.
Allegedly? What?
Well, I've never laid eyes on it myself, but if we wait long enough, it's bound to turn up. Hey dudes, look! There's fungus among us!
Of course, the mushrooms return.
Who cares about mushrooms? We're concerned about Rafa.
Take it down a notch, bro.
Time's a-wasting.
Roberto, do you... Or no, Naviru, do you not remember?
Cool it for a sec. First, we need to learn more about what we're after. That's basic stuff for us hunters.
My buddy here is a writer, though. We have our own way of doing things.
You just don't get it, dude.
Try using your noggin for a nanosecond. It's you who doesn't get it. I see now why it's impossible for writers and hunters to get along.
Just chill for a minute. Deep breaths. Look at all these beautiful shrooms.
You're telling me to calm down? I feel so betrayed. Even Lilia won't trust us.
The Scriveners just see things differently than hunters or riders. That doesn't mean Lilia's not your bro, though.
Doesn't seem that way to me.
Hey, see those shrooms over there?
Enough! What's with your mushroom fixation?
Just take a look. Lots of them are growing in this area. Any idea why?
What does that have to do with monsters?
Naviru already forgot Roberto's lesson on the mushrooms from the first game.
Huh? But wait, that is a lot of mushrooms. I do remember hearing, where there's a mushroom, there's a monster.
Yeah, so your head's not completely full of fur after all. Hunters learn to tell what monsters are in the area based on the habitat.
Oh, I see. So by looking at plants and fungi and stuff, we can track the monsters down.
Now you get it? I wasn't just looking at mushrooms. I was searching for clues. This bro's got brains, am I right?
What? Now it's Roberto's turn to be left behind. Hey, now that you mention it, I'm pretty sure the Western Heights is covered in shrooms. All right, let's get ourselves to the Western Heights then. All right, well, like usual, we gotta deal with monsters. I'll be right back out after this fight. Okay, I want to show off Reverto's unique hunter art, the Dragon Tremor Slash.
Here we go.
Yeah, I know it's kind of overkill, but... well, hey, I mean, we won. But yes, each of your battle buddies have their own unique kinship skills or hunter arts. And to put it simply, Reverto, like I said, is the best one by far in terms of pure damage. Also, we have Numazis we can collect. So I believe at the moment we can only get Gendrome and Cephadrome? But here in the Lamure area, or at least by the time we're done here, we'll be able to obtain Ash Kechawacha, Purple Gypsyros, Green Nargacuga, Diablos, Black Diablos, and White Monoblos. As well as as well as Brute Tigrex. Because White Monoblos and Brute Tigrex are the last of the Royal monsters. And yeah, I know, it's kind of lame having to deal with... Oh, new monster to fight. Meet the infamous Plesioth. Oh boy. I didn't think we'd be fighting this thing already. But yes, this is the infamous Plesioth. Look, for those of you who do not know, in the main games, Plesioth is infamous for being... How do I put this? He's infamous for... How do I put it? Hitbox dissonance, that's all I'm gonna say. Dude's got the most annoying hitboxes in the world. Now, by default, it will use tech attacks. Let me just... Now, as you can see, our Gammoth is taking a lot of damage, despite the fact that she's around the same level as the rest of our team. Also, I completely forgot that Plesioth does... Okay, so let me go ahead and get rid of this other Nabra. But by default, Plesioth will use tech attacks, and when enraged, it will use power attacks. Now, by default, it is weak to slash and pierce attacks. Its body is weak to slash and pierce attacks, but its back and tail are only weak to pierce. So, Plesioth has its infamous, hip check, represented in this game as a literal, as a hyperspace tackle, referencing how its hip check is notorious for not having the proper hitboxes. Now, Plesioth is another one of those monsters that you cannot get as a Monstie, which admittedly sucks. Now, its elemental weakness is Thunder. I didn't realize it was back to... Okay. That's my fault. Okay, never mind, it's back to being angry. Oh, it's almost dead, that's why. Oh, there we go. We defeated it. So I'll see all of you either when there's another monster, or when we get out of this den. Alright, well I managed to get myself a Cephadrome egg. I also forgot to mention, this is where you will normally find, this is where you'll normally find Tigrex and Monoblos. Oh, there's a few new monsters over here. Alright, so, Hermitors. These small Carapaceans, yes, that's what they're called. It's weird. But they're only weak to blunt damage, and they only use tech attacks, with their elemental weakness being Thunder. This large monster here, though, is the Purple Ludroth. Now, by default, the Purple Ludroth will use power attacks, but when enraged, it uses tech attacks. When it comes to what kind of weapon weakness its body parts are weak to, it is weak to slash by default and on stomach, while its head is weak only to pierce. And it has an elemental weakness to fire. So, let's see, that should be, yep, there's a Hermitor. Now, if you want to make it have a higher chance of retreating, you can break the head with a fire element gun lance. Now, obviously, I don't use gun lance, so there's no point in trying to do that. Yeah, Reverto is much stronger and much tankier than any of the battle buddies that we've had so far. So it legitimately feels like you've got a massive helper on your side with Reverto. I know each battle buddy focuses on specific things.
No biggie, right?
So Reverto, for example, focuses on raw damage. I think Alwyn just focuses entirely on being useless, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, another new large monster. Meet the Daimyo Hermitor. This larger cousin of the Hermitor, by default uses tech attacks, but when enraged uses power attacks. It is only weak to blunt no matter what, and it has an elemental weakness to fire. But yeah, I am gonna do a lot of level grinding off screen, so that way I can start... yeah, that way I can get through these battles without much trouble. Let's see. So I'll go ahead and have you deal with that while I start focusing on... But yeah, hunters also raise their hunter's arts gauge much slower than riders build their kinship gauges, which can be somewhat annoying. Somewhat being the key here because, well, they also deal much more damage and have more defensive health, so it's kind of a trade-off. But yeah, Reverto loves using powerful greatsword skills, which is very, very nice. Okay, so let's see. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use Spinning Meteor on the body. And there we go, Daimyo Hermitor defeated. Now, Hermitor is yet another one of the large monsters that you cannot force to retreat under any circumstances, which, again, is a little annoying. Alright, so we have 2 more monsters to fight now. First being Acephalos. These land sharks use only power attacks and are only weak to blunt, and they have an elemental weakness to ice. The other is Cephadrome, basically larger Cephalos, and the only Piscine wyvern that you can actually... Is it Piscine or Piscine? I think it's Piscine. But yeah, it's the only one of the fish wyverns that you can actually obtain in the game. By default, it uses speed attacks, but when enraged, it uses tech attacks. It has an elemental weakness to ice, and its parts... So by default, it is weak to blunt damage. And its stomach is weak to blunt, its back is weak to pierce, and its tail is weak to slash. If you want to make it retreat, you have to make it emerge from underground using a sonic bomb to boost its retreat rate. Now, we don't have sonic bombs yet. However, Reverto has a unique skill called Taunt. What he does is he will make it so that he gets targeted by the opponent, I think. Why is it just using wait and see? This is annoying. There we go. So yeah, Reverto using Taunt will make it so that he's targeted while also increasing his defense. This is very, very helpful in case you or your monster is low on HP. Okay, so it shouldn't be too long until we defeat the Cephadrome now. Alright, there we go. So yeah, I am gonna hunt for eggs a little bit. I'll try my best to not advance the story too much. But I did manage to get a purple Gypsros egg just now. Also, there's a caravan stand right here, so make sure to activate that. And as you can see, there is the Royal Brute Tigrex. Oh boy. So yeah, I'll see you all once I'm back out of this den. Alright. So now, I believe I can figure out how to... You know what? I actually want to... Oh, what is... Okay, so that's just scraps. So let me first enter this den up here, and then I want to show off... Well, these two dens, and then I want to show off the Brute Tigrex fight. Because it is so much easier than the Royal Tigrex from back when we were able to first fight it. The monster to fight. Now this is the Plum Daimyo Hermitor, which is a subspecies of the Daimyo Hermitor that, much like the main species, cannot be forced to retreat. Now the Plum Daimyo Hermitor uses tech attacks normally, but when enraged, it will use speed attacks. And much like the Nominus species, it will only use... Well, its body parts are only weak to blunt damage. And it has an elemental weakness to fire, or ice. So let me go ahead and grab you out of the party. So let's go ahead and... I'm gonna try to take out smaller Hermitors first. Alright, so that's one small Hermitor. So I will do that while I do this. Alright, so... with the second one now dealt with, I can go ahead and bring out Bruce. And that way I can start just double attacking the Plum Daimyo Hermitor. So my guess is gonna... So next turn is probably just gonna use... Yeah, it's using Bubble Breath. Now it's no longer angry, so I can swap, I can swap an Arcamith. Or... using Scissor Guard. Oh. I don't like this. So this is basically the same thing as Claw Guard from the last game. So let me go ahead and just do Spinning Meteor on the shell. Now, ordinarily you would use you'd use a Sonic Bomb here, but we don't have access to those just yet. So yeah, Reverto is using a Gourmet Steak on himself. That's okay. should be done with this fight within a few turns. You know what, I might as well show off the Gammoth Kinship skill. Raging Avalanche. There we go. Plum Daimyo Hermitor defeated. Alright, let's go ahead and fight that brute Tigrex. If I don't get it to retreat on camera, oh well, I'll just try to make it retreat off camera. But yeah, the brute Tigrex. This is a subspecies of the Tigrex. By default, it will use power attacks, but when enraged, it uses speed attacks, much like the regular Tigrex. All of its body parts are weak to slash, with the head and its default state only being weak to slash attacks. But its legs are weak to all of the, they're weak to all the weapon attacks. Now, if you want to retreat, you need to make it work. Well, you need to break the head with the sword and shield after it steps on a shock trap. However, its elemental weakness is water, and, well, we don't really use sword and shield. I just throw a paintball, you roll with it. Now, much like the normal Tigrex, once it's angry, it will start using 2 attacks per turn. However, there's also a chance for it to just start using its own special ward a lot. So Savage Roar is an AoE attack. Alright, so let's see. So what's its next move? Just a speed attack? Okay. Well, we win this power clash like usual. Yeah, as you can see, it's not dealing as much damage to us right now compared to the Royal Tigrex when we first fought it. I am gonna go ahead and use my kinship skill. Alright, so and then I'm gonna swap out my Monsi to Ninja. And then I am going to actually heal up. Yeah, it dealing less damage and us having more powerful gear means that this fight is much less difficult compared to the Royal Tigrex back in Alcala, which can actually be found in 3 different areas. I'm not entirely sure if it's the same for Brute Tigrex? Okay, so as you can see, it's starting to drool, so I'm gonna paintball it and see if we can defeat it within the next 3 turns. Alright, so now that it's angry, we swap in Bruce. Oh no, we lost a heart. Alright, there we go. We sort of turned the paintball right up. Okay, so we didn't manage to get it to retreat, but I will definitely get it to do so off camera. So with that now done, let's go ahead and heal up first. And then let's continue on with the story. Tons of mushrooms, but no monsters. Where should we look next? Next? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I spotted some shrooms over by the Northern Heights. You sure about that, Reverto? Starting to sound like you're just making it up as you go. Where is this Northern Heights? Give me a break. Have I ever been wrong before? It's at the top of that rocky mountain to the north. Well, buddy, looks like we're gonna have to trust Reverto on this one. Let's head over to the Northern Heights. Alright, I think I showed... Yeah, no, it's where we just were a few, minutes ago. So we head over to here. The Northern Heights is just up ahead. Whoa! With so many mushrooms around here, there's got to be monsters nearby. Well, I mean, you're not exactly wrong about that. Well, the mushrooms led us this far. There's bound to be some monsters around here. Over there, buddy! Yep, it's a Plesioth. You already know how to fight it. Let's get this party started. Plesioth bites can put you to sleep, so watch out for that. Let's hurry up and get this over with, buddy. Right. Let's get started. So immediately, just gonna swap out my weapon and Monsty. Alright, so I said earlier when we fought the non-story related Plesioth, these things are notorious in the mainline games for their hitboxes being just a little strange. Just a little. And by a little, I mean it is insane how their hitboxes can be so janky. Now, I believe the Plesioth was introduced back in the first generation of Monster Hunter? It was either the first or the second, but I think it was the first. But yeah, no, Plesioth has been around for a long time. So yeah, we're just gonna keep having Tigrera out here whenever there's a power-using monster. At least until it gets to the point where there's just better options. Okay, so I'm gonna Rock Smash. And Reverto dodges like a champ. Alright, so now it's back to using tech attacks. I'll swap out my Monsty. Also, for those of you who might be curious as to when the Gammoth was introduced, the Gammoth is a relatively recent monster. That makes one more win for us. How's that for skills, Reverto? Not bad. Might have what it takes after all. Is there a story segment after this? I believe there is.
Victory achieved! Now Lilia won't be able to brush us off like some amateurs. Buddy? You okay?
Any ideas why Plesioth showed up?
Look, my buddy isn't some kind of Plesioth mind reader.
It doesn't take mind reading to answer the question, dude. I thought you riders were supposed to understand monsters on some deeper level, right?
I gotta say, that's not much of a hint.
If you don't know the answer, how can you prove you've got the goods as a rider? Maybe it'll dawn on you later. Okay, on to the next one.
Wait, we're not done yet?
No.
That's right, let's boogie.
Reverto over here being the best dude ever. Just a minute there, Reverto. Where do you think you're going? And why did that Plesioth show up? Once we get to the desert cave, you'll understand. So stop with the questions and let's get going already. Reverto, the mentor. What is a rider's true strength, and how does one prove it? Unable to answer Reverto's question about the Plesioth, you travel towards the desert cave. What does it mean to be a hunter or a rider? What is their connection to monsters? No doubt the path you take will show you in due time. So that's actually going to be it for this episode. I hope all of you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you in the next one. Goodbye.